Play Sports Coalition call. We're excited to have everybody here, and it's awesome to be with you on a Friday. Lots of exciting progress to make. So we're going to go right into the agenda. My name is Jeremy Goldberg. I'm one of the steering committee members of the Play Sports Coalition, and we've got a full packed agenda. We're not only going to be talking, we're going to be doing, and a lot of progress to get to. One of the things we want to make sure people walk away with is an update about what we're focusing on with the Plays Coalition. And then we'll specifically talk about legislation that's excitingly being developed and adapted based on the feedback we've gotten from all of you all that we can act right now upon. And not only are we going to take some actions today, but we're also going to talk about the Unite to Play Day that we're putting together on July 8th, about how we can all move together. And before we finish, we'll also talk a little bit about where the coalition is going beyond this, because one of the things that we've found, what we've heard, is that we're really enabling the youth sports community to speak with one voice, right? To come together. There's all kinds of amazing organizations that have all kinds of great ideas and done great work to understand where youth sports can be even better. What we focus on is how do we come together to help make sure this industry survives and thrives, and really speak with one voice at the federal, at the state, at the local level, and really disseminate the best ideas to each other. So this call is being recorded, so you can share this with other people that are part of the coalition that weren't able to join it. So I'm joined by our incredible steering committee members, and you'll hear from a few of us today. But we appreciate you taking out time out, and we'll get into it. So let's go to the next slide. And I want to explain a little bit and remind everybody, when we think about our purpose, what that's about. And ultimately, this is about making sure the youth sports industry survives and thrives, right? Survives and thrives. And the purpose ultimately, as I said before, is to unite this community together and advocate with one voice. We have over 3,600 organizations that are part of what we're at. We have presence and engagement in all 50 states. And when we surveyed our members, what we found is that 60% of coalitions have fewer than 10 employees. So the very kind of small businesses, small nonprofits that are the backbone of this country, and also the backbone of where Washington right now is trying to make sure they provide help. About half of the organizations have received PPP funding, which means more than about half of you have not. But on top of that, those that received PPP funding, it only covered about 10% of your expenses, which has really validated our belief that the programs that have come out of Washington to date haven't been designed with youth providers in mind. That's going to change thanks to your help. And that starts with HR 6912, which is the COVID Youth Sports and Working Families Relief Act. So I'm going to invite Terry to come in and talk to us a little bit about what's happening there, the progress we've made thanks to the voice of this coalition to date, and the opportunity for us to take that another step forward. As I'm talking or as we're going, feel free to use that chat tool. Go ahead and introduce yourself. We're going to be using the chat tool as we take some action today. So that's on YouTube on the right-hand side. So introduce yourself. And then if you have questions, feel free to post that as well. So Terry, I'll invite you in.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to chat with us again today. We're looking forward to the conversation. We're really excited, as Jeremy mentioned, about HR 6912, as we feel this is a solution to help youth sports organizations like yours get the relief that you need to survive these challenging times. There's two main components of this bill. The first is it creates a relief fund for youth sports providers. So if your primary purpose is to serve kids under 18, whether you're for-profit or nonprofit, you're eligible for this funding. We're very excited that we also have included in this in prioritization for those nonprofit organizations who are serving low-income and at-risk kids, so we can ensure that the relief funds are getting to the hands of those who need it the most first. But there's definitely enough to go around the way we're designing this program. So we're really excited about that as an opportunity. The second is this bill also provides resources in terms of tax credits and incentives directly for the families that you're serving to help them get back to playing sport, which is so important, we know now more than ever. So Jenny, if you could take us to the next slide. We've been calling upon you for a lot. You can keep going, actually. And one of the things that we're going to be doing today is ask you to dig a little deeper. My good colleague, Matt, gave me the analogy of working in government is a lot like tournament play. And I was a basketball player, so we didn't do this quite the same way other sports did. But, you know, in a tournament, when we're making your way, or my experience, the AAU Nationals, you got to play almost every weekend to try to get there. The whole idea is survive in advance. And that's what we've been doing. We've been asking you to gear up on numerous occasions so we can survive and get enough support so we can advance to the next round. And that's where we are right now. After July 4th holiday, we're expecting them to start working on the next COVID relief package. And we want to make sure our bill is positioned for success to be in that package. To do that, we need to get as much bipartisan support as possible. Now, before I tell you how to do that, let me just turn over to my colleague, Benita, real quick to emphasize again why this matters for you.
Thanks, Terry. If you could go back a slide, Jenny. So when we began this effort a few weeks ago, we really did want to ensure that there was a emphasis and priority put on organizations, community-based organizations, particularly those in the sports-based youth development community, and those serving children and youth and families in underserved communities. And so we have successfully been able to include that in our draft of the bill that Congressman Rose is currently about to reintroduce right after the holiday. And it really does make sure that youth sports providers, particularly those in underserved communities, have priority to the loan and have priority relative to the forgiveness of the loan. And we have painstakingly ensured that we have included the voices of those organizations in the development of the language as we are going about this process to ensure that their interests are both heard but also included and incorporated in anything that we do. It's important because we know youth sports organizations, as you saw the data, most of them have fewer than 10 employees, so they're small organizations and small companies. Even those that are for-profit are still small, but particularly those at the grassroots level, many of whom have very small number of employees and dependent contractors. And so this kind of language and this kind of a bill is especially going to help them in the long term. And surviving and thriving is important, and particularly for those kids that need our help the most.
Yeah, one thing I'll say, and Benita, such an important point, is this coalition, one of the strengths of this coalition is as a steering committee members, we're simply stewards of your coalition, right? This is really about everyone's voices being able to shape. So what was great is, as we developed some of these ideas, so many people raised their hand, gave their feedback, gave their ideas, and Congress is listening. And they're literally adapting the ideas based on the feedback that we're giving as a coalition. So now's our chance to act on this. And so what we want to do, and Terry, you were just speaking to this, is it's a time to take action, as you said, using that sports analogy. We gotta play to advance. We gotta win to advance. We now have this moment where people are listening. So can you talk to us about why phone calls matter? Like what's the strategy here, and what can we do today?
Yeah, I absolutely will. And I have a great example here on the phone with us, Karen King, one of our steering committee members. He made a call to his representative, and as the CEO of Triple Crown Sports, they took his call and then they signed on. John Butler with Pop Warner made a call to his rep, who was our first Republican on this bill, with less than 12 hours. They signed on. So hearing directly from constituents like you makes all the difference. They don't want to hear from me. They want to hear from you. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick pause, and we're all going to take 5 minutes to pick up the phone and make a call to your congressional representative. Now, I know this can seem intimidating, but let's keep it super simple. They just want to hear, first of all, that you're a constituent. So if you go to the link that we've just posted in YouTube, if you type in your address and start with the address of where your company is headquartered, or if you work from home, then it's the same. And it'll pull up your rep, and it will also give you their phone number. And there also are some talking points in there. But here are the key things that they want to hear from you. Why do youth sports matter? What are the challenges that your organization are facing now because of COVID? And then the third thing is you're asking for their help by becoming a co-sponsor of HR 6912. That's all you need to say. And half the time you might get their voicemail, and the voicemails matter. As I mentioned, John Butler of Pop Warner, he left a voicemail and then we got a signature. So if you just can leave that simple message, why you care about sports, that you're struggling right now and you need their support with HR 6912, it'll make all the difference in helping us get the co-sponsors that we need to support this legislation.
So here's how this is going to work. We're all taking part of this. We're all taking action, and it's actually a lot of fun. So what's going to happen is you're going to click on that link, and when you click on that link, you'll have a form. You type in the form, and it's to give you the phone number of your representative. Go ahead and make that phone call and reach out now. We're going to all take some time. We're all going to do this as well. And what was fun is when we did this earlier with the Grassroots Leadership Committee, they actually, one of them even got a call back. People are interested, they'll send emails back. So this is your chance to actually let them know that you're representing your organization, your families in your organization, other affiliates, about what has to happen. And then post in the chat tool what's happening. Did you get a voicemail? Did you get someone on the phone? Tell everybody that you did it. And let's all do this together. So now take that time, click on that link, and let's let Congress know that we support this bill. So and once we do that, we'll then spread the word. So take the time, guys. Wayne, as people are getting to do that, talk about us. What you've done when you've gotten people on the phone. How does this work for you?
Yeah, it's been great. I actually made a call earlier today. It was fantastic. Called Representative Woodall. It went into the voicemail, so I just shared who I was, who I represent, and it was pretty seamless. We've got the information that's in the text, so you've got a script. So it's pretty seamless, pretty simple, pretty straightforward.
That's great. And one thing that you understand how the offices work as you guys are making those calls is that they'll literally have a tally list. So when they pull up the voicemails or they get on the phone, and when they come and they say to the congressman, hey, people are calling because they care about these sports, it makes a huge difference to how they make that kind of calculation. It's not like people are calling to say don't support youth sports. So we just got to make sure that a few of these offices hear from us, and it's literally leading to people to sign on. Terry, talk to us. I mean, how many reps have already signed on to support this bill as it's being reintroduced?
Currently, we have 15 reps signed on. But now, so you guys have time to focus, we're going to pause for 5 minutes. I'm going to mute Jeremy and then let you guys take a minute so you can make these calls. We'll be here for support if you all have questions. But thank you for your action.
The link isn't above the chat. We'll post the link again for you so you can make sure that you can see it if you haven't had a chance to figure it out. If you have any problems, just put it in the chat tool. Let us know. We can go ahead and track it down. Thank you, Mary, for reaching out to Congressman Fitzpatrick. Awesome. Thank you, Trilogy, for reaching out to Nydia Velasquez. Lewis, thanks for reaching out to Delaware. Love this activity. This all makes a difference. Any one of these calls can literally lead to a co-sponsor. Let us know who else. Ryan Boyle, thanks for the comment on the chat tool. Yes, we totally get it. What ends up happening is when you make these calls, that's the staffers that end up getting routed to that. So if you call Congressman Nadler sometimes doesn't get the message, but the staffer in charge of youth sports does. And that's how this process starts. So thanks for the point. Cindy, thanks for reaching out to everyone in Washington. We appreciate that. Lots of good opportunities out there. Go ahead and post in the chat tools. What else we got? And twice, no less. Thank you, Cindy, for reaching out, being so active. The persistence pays off. The more they hear from us, that's better. Carrie, thanks for reaching out to Scott Tipton in Colorado. Let's get him on board. Awesome. Puget Sound, USAV. Appreciate the volleyball love and you reaching out in Washington. Shannon, thanks for reaching out to Oregon State. That's awesome. New England Youth Tackle, thanks for reaching out to Seth Milton. That's great. We got a few people that reached out to him. Melissa, thanks for reaching out to Kevin Brady in Texas. Greg, awesome, reaching out to Congressman Rowe's office. Let him know that we appreciate the support. Good stuff. Good stuff. Give it another minute. Let some of those other calls roll in. It's not that hard. If you made the call, go ahead and post it on YouTube. Just tell them it was easy. You know, we're doing this together, right? This is the democratic process of work. If you're not calling, someone else is about calling about things that they care about. Joe, thanks for reaching out to Dean and Fitzpatrick. Amazing. Danny, thanks for reaching out to Karen Maloney in a tough fight herself to keep her space. If you're hearing from constituents, every constituent matters for her. Kate, thanks for reaching out to Gwen Moore. And I love the fact that she knows scores and youth sports organization. That's awesome. So I know we're reaching out to Texas, Senator McCall. Perfect. California, Juan Vargas. Colorado, Joe Neguse. This is amazing when you think about this. Just look at the chat tool for a second. Just appreciate the reach, the people that are on right now, not to mention all the people that are going to watch this link later on and taking that action. We got Minnesota. We got Stauber. Thank you, Corbin, for doing that. Carrie, thanks for reaching out to Ken Buck. Again, any connection people have, this is part of the effort, part of the exercise there. Terry, any other words of wisdom? So now people made the phone calls. Is there anything else they should be doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's what you have is your family right next door. I mean, there's no doubt that you could call mom and have her help you out. Send her a text, say, hey, we're going to talk in a minute, mom, because you got to make a call for me. We got to get sports back going again.
That's exactly right. I have a call scheduled with my mom and her rep, which is a Republican in Florida, on Tuesday. My sister's making a call with me on Wednesday. I got my dad lined up for next week. That's exactly right. It's using your network. If we can all collectively together make a difference. And a lot of you who are the leaders of organizations have potentially two representatives you can go after. So you have where your organization is and as an individual. I myself call my own representative, Jan Sikowski, where I spend some of my time in Chicago. And as an individual, not as a representative of the Place Coalition, I was able to get her to sign on to the bill. So these calls make a difference. I'm so impressed with the energy and enthusiasm coming in on the line. You might get a call back if you left a voicemail. So be ready for that. And please feel free to email us your experiences. I'll post my email on the website through link as well. So you can follow up directly with me if you have further questions or need any support as you continue on through this process.
Yeah, one of the things I think that's amazing, and it's just cool to see these keep coming in. And we've got Karen Bass being reached out to by America Scores LA. We've got Congressman Dwight Evans by Starfinder. We got Derek Falcons reaching out to Jackie Walorski in Indiana. Danny Davis getting calls from Megan O'Kelly. So it's amazing. Literally, if we just scroll back on the chat, there's like 30 different representatives that we've hit up inside of 4 or 5 minutes. And what we have to realize is that there are people from other industries saying, hey, give us help, reaching out, making phone calls. Everybody's trying to figure out, especially as they talk about that July package. If we don't raise our voice with youth sports to make sure our specific needs and the opportunity for make an impact, then we're going to miss an opportunity here. So let's go to the next slide, because this is just a glimpse. It's just a glimpse of how this works. And so one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to ratchet up a little bit, right? We're creating some momentum going into this weekend. But on July 8th, we're going to make 10,000 phone calls. That's not a goal. That's a promise. 10,000 phone calls to take action for youth sports, right? And less time than it takes to run a mile. And in my case, a half mile. So there's so much opportunity for us to make a difference. And what we're basically going to ask you to do is we're going to come together as a coalition. We're going to ask you to bring some friends, employees, family members, other coaches and people in your organization. And we're going to join and together to make phone calls. Now you can do this on your own, and we're going to make it easy to set that up. But we're also going to do some phone banks. And one of the things that I think is really important for everyone to understand is the way this bill is unfolding, right? Go back one more slide, Jenny, just go back where we were. One of the things, the way this bill is unfolding is this is about getting relief to organizations. More than 50% of organizations are still at risk of going under. You see the numbers that are going on with COVID. It's so, the need for this industry is so critical. And yet the need for financial assistance to keep this industry afloat is absolutely essential right now. So the first thing is this bill is about helping you. But the second thing is it's about helping families, right? Helping families that are working class families that give the opportunity to play, not only to take advantage of tax credits through HSA and FSAs, but also the earned income tax credit. And if they don't even pay any taxes, it gives them the opportunity then to file for a rebate around that. And that's money that could go to registration fees or equipment or other things that are connected to their participation in your organization. So this helps you, it helps the members of your organization, because that's how important youth sports is. So July 8th will be the first effort to kind of put a stake in the ground to really make that happen. We're going to give you emails. We're going to give you social posts. We're going to give you graphics. So put a block on your calendar, be ready to go. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to do some phone banks, just like which we just did, right? So what we'll do is that for those phone banks, there'll be a couple of different windows throughout the day that you can come in. And for 30 minutes, we're going to make phone calls as a group. We'll use a chat tool. So we'll all share what's happening and what we're learning. We'll not only call ourselves, but we'll send emails and texts to friends to ask them to take action. We'll make that easy. We'll have fun. We'll have some music playing. And then if you run an organization with lots of affiliates like Pop Warner and John Butler, then what we can do is work with John. And so we're going to run an event just for Pop Warner affiliates, or just for America Scores, or just for US Soccer. So as we work with these organizations, if you want to organize your own phone bank, we can support that, as well as joining some of the official Play Sport Coalition phone banks. And it's not that hard. If each one member of the coalition makes a call and makes 3 or 4 other calls to friends to get them to take action, we're going to reach that 10,000 number. It'll overwhelm the expectation on the Hill and lead to more and more co-sponsors that'll be at a critical moment of those kinds of negotiations. So we want people to be involved in that. So feel free to go into the chat tool if you have ideas and thoughts. If you want to get even more involved in this and help us plan that and join the Grassroots Leadership Committee, go ahead and indicate that, and we can go ahead and follow up with you as well. So this is a chance for you to be involved and be part of what we're about. So Terry, anything else you want to say about this?
Thank you all for your support. It makes a difference.
Awesome. Benita, anything else you want to add?
Sorry, I was on mute. No, I'm good. You did a great job.
Excellent. So lastly, Benita, tell us about the future, right? This is just stage one. As we build this muscle, as we get the Hill to pay attention, there's a future for where this coalition's going. So I'll turn it over to you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we are really thinking about this in kind of 2 ways. It's a kind of a unique thing to have brought together thousands of youth sports organizations under a singular effort. And initially, of course, it's to get the relief financially to organizations that serve youth sports all over the country, where they be travel organizations or event producers or grassroots SBYD organizations. They're all important in this ecosystem, and we want to make sure you get the appropriate relief. But we also realize that we have a unique opportunity to harness the power of these thousands of organizations to really address issues that are very pertinent and important to youth sports and athletes and families across the country. And so we want to do that. We want to figure out what's the best way to harness that power and that influence to be able to activate that network, to be able to advocate for the things that all of us believe in and think are important. But we also understand that many of you are with organizations that are doing great work already. You have great research and data and programs and services, but being able to amplify what you're doing, to be able to come together as a coalition to really support particular ideas and to be able to advocate for them at the federal, state, and local levels is important. And so we've begun with 5 kind of areas that we'll just talk about that we think the coalition is uniquely positioned to address. We've gotten some feedback already from our strategic partnership group and from our advisory council, but we really want input from you as well. And these, to make sure, these are the right areas of focus, but also if you have any additional ideas. And so I'll go through them pretty quickly now. First is access to play spaces. This is infrastructure, parks and rec, safe places for kids to play, ensuring that those spaces remain open and accessible to all. Secondly is ensuring that youth sports are of high quality. That means that the coaches are trained and you have safe sport initiatives in place, that ultimately that the reason kids get involved and stay involved in sport is that it needs to be fun. We also believe that equity and inclusivity are important in and of themselves to ensure that more kids have access to sport, are able to afford it, or they have able to access the safe play spaces, and programs. But we want to make sure that equity and inclusivity goes across everything we do as a coalition. As Jeremy mentioned earlier, including grassroots sports organizations as part of the conversation, ensuring that their needs are reflected in the bill that we're supporting with Congressman Rose is important. But it's important to ensure that everyone's voices are heard in everything that we do. So across the coalition and the work of the coalition. Next is encouraging participation in youth sports. And I think it also includes health, education, and youth development outcomes, that if we really emphasize the benefits of youth sports collectively, we don't have a Ministry of Sport in the United States. And so we really need the voices of all of those members of the coalition to really tout, support, and promote the health, both mental and physical health, the education benefits that accrue to kids that participate in youth sports, and of course, particularly as it relates to SBYD, but many other organizations as well, the youth development, the life skills that kids develop through sport. If we're able to harness those benefits, I think we're able to encourage more participation and wider and deeper participation in youth sports by girls and children of different cultures and racial backgrounds, but their parents as well, and making sure that schools retain sports programs and PE programs. Those things are really important, and we think to the health and welfare of youth sports organizations, but to also the kids that participate.
That's awesome. So Benita, thanks for that. And again, I think the key aspect of us is if we can build this muscle of engaging our representatives and senators and let them know we're around, let them know we matter, let them know about the importance that youth sports has and speak as one voice. That's how we're going to be successful and be impactful here. One thing I want to acknowledge is that, you look at that chat tool, it's amazing. Someone like Scott Tyson, Scott down in North Carolina, spoke to someone at Dan Bishop's office. He's already talked to them. They took his name and number and they're passing along to the congressman. Something like that can make a huge difference. And now Terry and the advocacy team can follow up with that and say, hey, Congressman Bishop, we want you to sign on. And now that their office has gotten a phone call, it's a really effective aspect of it. So I want to acknowledge, your effort, John, David, for you reaching out and talking to someone in Arizona, Representative Biggs, Elizabeth and Stanton for focusing on Rep. Strakowski out in Illinois, and then Melissa Merson for reaching out to Don Beyer, who, as you know, super important on the Ways and Means Committee. April at Perlmutter, Steve Sack, Rep. Levin. So it's amazing. It's amazing. We literally probably covered 25 states just by this action today, all in like 15 minutes. So keep posting those ideas in the YouTube. Share this link with other organizations so they can be part of this as well. And then look out for a few emails as we go into the next steps. One is you're going to get an email on Monday, and you're going to get a badge that you can post to social media about your involvement here and how you're taking action on behalf of this bill to really make sure that youth sports survives and thrives. So you'll have that opportunity. Look out for that. The second is on July 1st, you're going to get an email that explains exactly how this 10,000 day will work. This Unite for Play Day will work. And ultimately sign up for those phone banks, getting people to show up. If people show up for 30 minutes, it can literally transform their organizations in the industry. We're going to make that easy for you to do it. And if you have ideas, go ahead and post that in the YouTube. Go ahead and send us an email. Hit us up on Instagram. Let us know how you want to be involved, because this is your coalition, right? Not ours. So with that, I want to thank everyone for being part of today's call, doing all the things that you're doing. Again, you made a huge difference right now. Terry's got to go back to the phones now. We got a lot of offices to follow up with. And I'm certainly inspired by all your work, not only in the community, but on the behalf of the industry. Thanks for your leadership. Thanks for your time. Happy Friday, everybody.
Thank you.